Alright, I've been gone for a while, obviously. I am getting ready to move, and I'm supposed to move before Christmas, and it just keeps getting put off. But hopefully soon, all my stuff is gone. It's creepy. And I got some wicked hat hair. Like, what is that? What is that? I don't know. Anyway, I was talking to my mom, and we're recapping the movie, what's it called? The Cloverfield Paradox. And, it's just absurd, so I started recording it. So, you know, here it is. So, yeah, no, it was propaganda, like, Earth's running out of power. The sun, people forgot that they have that as a source of power. But, so, like, this guy and his wife, he's like, you gotta go. They want you to go to space and save the Earth with power or something, and you're the best scientist we got, and I'm afraid what'll happen to all these people if you don't try. And she's like, okay. And then the whole, like, a lot of the plot is moving towards, like, clearly they've been in space for, like, 2 years, so, like, they do that over the course of, like, a montage in the beginning, showing that they keep trying, and they keep failing to make this thing that's gonna have, like, infinite energy, and it's so dangerous, this big thing, in the space shuttle station thing they built. It's so
How many people are in space?
A few, like 5 or 6, I can't remember, but they're all from.
So the rest of the Earth is dead?
No, they're not dead. They're just waiting for the people up there to make this infinite powery thing, and it's so dangerous they can't do it on Earth. And each person on the space station is from a different country, and they're all working together.
The people on the Earth are just, like, dying?
They're dying. They have, like, 5 hours. Not 5 hours. 5 hours, because 5 days worth of 5 years worth of energy left. And again, they forgot solar powers, or even bicycle power is a thing. Stick up something to a generator and start pedaling. You ain't gonna die. And also, we survived a long time without electricity. It ain't that bad. Anyway, so they're up there, and it's, like, getting tense because even the people up there are, like, maybe, and they're hearing, like, oh, Russia's, and of course, it's such propaganda. Like, okay, we got it. The Earth is dying, global warming or whatever, and lack of electricity, and the Russians are gonna invade at some point. The thing that can save them, the big infinite power machine, is called the Shepherd. I'm like, I got your symbolism. I got it. And so, yeah. They're all like, so they start suspecting, like, oh, maybe you're not making the machine work because you want the Russians or the Germans or whatever to do whatever. And they're like, hey, we've been up here for a while. And I'm like, why are you complaining? You got tons of power. Everyone else doesn't. You're good. And then it's just dumb because clearly they've been up there for 2 years, and they have work to do. And she even mentions, like, she messages her husband and is like, we only have enough fuel to, like, test the Shepherd a few more times. And then we're done, and then it's doomed if we can't get it to work. And so all of this, like, they've been building up to, like, another test, and one of the dudes just has a TV on in the main station, just watching TV while they're prepping for this. And then it's one of those actors, I see this guy in a lot of stuff, but I thought he's gonna be more of the movie. He was, like, only part of the movie he's in. And he's, like, some conspiracy theorist guy on the news going, oh, if they test the Shepherd, it'll, like, it almost reminded me of, like, the guy on Mystery Men that's like, it'll psychofracculate your mind. Because he's just like, it'll, like, split dimensions and time and places and it'll, everything, it could collide and intersect of dimensions and whatever. And it could shred space-time as we know it. And I'm like, okay, so is it building up to where, like, oh, total chaos is gonna happen or what? And then the guy's like, turn that TV off. It's like, yeah, you're doing a mission. Turn your TV off. And, oh my, David and I kept saying, they keep using the word paradox wrong in the movie. I don't think that means what you think it means. Like, David was even like, it's inconceivable, right? And I'm like, I know. Because, yeah, they keep saying, like, things are a paradox. I'm like, you don't know what that means. Stop, you're using that wrong. Splitting and converging dimensions does not mean paradox.
So, do they not have the...
I don't know. They say it a few different times in different contexts. I'm like, you're saying it wrong. They do this test, and then it looks like it's gonna work for a while, and then all of a sudden, energy, like it's running. All of a sudden, the machine just turns off, and gravity like flips, and they hit the ceiling. It flips it in the ground, and then all the machines are all messed up, and also the machines run off this weird gyro thing, which I guess that's from like another sci-fi movie I remember. It's like, that's like their compass in space, which I don't know how that works, but whatever. How does a compass point north when you're not on a planet? I don't know. So they got that, and they're like, arguing. They're trying to figure out what's going on. There's like power failures and different things are going wrong. And then they're like, where's the Earth? Where's the Earth? And they can't find the Earth. And I'm like, okay, look out the windows some more. Star charts. Do anything. And so for most of the movie, they're like, we don't know where we are. We can't find the Earth. And I'm like, and then so I'm like, they must be so far deep in space. There's like nothing noticeable or memorable or like recognizable. And then later, they're like, oh, look, the Earth's behind the sun. I'm like, you could see the sun. You could see the sun. You know where you're at. Stupid. But they're like, oh, there's the sun. And I'm like, you did a whole point of looking out every window and video camera outside the shuttle and you couldn't find the Earth, but you just forgot to use the sun as like a marker. So yeah, they everything starts going weird and different, and like this is what gets dumb. So clearly they've ripped some time space thing. So I'm like, okay,
like
is this
the crazy guy said?
Yeah, but what the problem here is if the movie wanted to pick, you've opened an alternate dimension and there's two and you've popped into one, that's one thing. If they wanted to say, you've made a crazy upside down, topsy-turvy world of everything is possible and whatever, stick with that. But you can't do both. And you can't do both at one point and then just forget it and move on. Because what they do is things start getting so absurd and so stupid. I was like, halfway through the movie, I'm like, did I misread this? Is this a comedy? Like, the one guy who was like starting problems before they even had problems, he starts getting like, he's like grabbing his face weird and like makes a weird thing about like, oh, grabbing my face. And they can't find the gyro thing. It's missing. It was in the machine and they go to open the machine to like get their bearings and it's just gone. And so like the Earth is gone and this gyro thing is gone. And the guy's like, ugh. And then they're all like trying to figure out what's going on. And then later they realize all the worms are missing because they have like a weird thing of like a bunch of worms. They're missing. And I can't remember the order all these things happen. It's just really dumb really quickly. Of like, the dude, you see like stuff moving in his face and you're like, are the worms in his face? Or what's going on? And then he like looks in the mirror and asks himself like some question and then responds. And I'm like, is he under the control of some like, something take over his body? What's going on? I don't know what's happening here. And then he goes and 3D prints a gun, because gun's bad. 3D prints a gun, goes to like point it at these other people, and then before he can even shoot them, starts like foaming out the mouth, and they take him in, and he explodes worms everywhere. Like out of his mouth, like it wasn't even projectile vomiting, it was like a confetti popper, like worms just went off. And so they're like, okay, well, we found the worms, that's cool. And then
they solved one mystery.
And then, so they hear some screaming, and they're like, where is the screaming coming from? And inside a wall, there's this screaming coming out of a wall, so they open it up, and there's a chick in there, and she's got wires and, like, metal conduits and things going through her, and she's screaming for help, and they're, like, freaking out, because they've been there for 2 years, and there's no one else on the ship. And then she says, the main chick, she goes, help me, Hamilton, says her name. And they're like, what? This chick apparently is from an alternate dimension, who she was originally on the ship. She was in Hamilton's place, and then throughout the course of the entire movie, you realize that Hamilton is on this ship because she was trying to steal power and install the faulty thing that got her kids killed, and so when she didn't have her kids, she was willing to leave her husband and go try and save humanity. But in the other chick's reality, Hamilton never got her kids killed, so she didn't go on the spaceship because she still had kids to stay at home for. So I'm like, okay, so are we going to switch into strictly, are we going to say like, it's a swap? Are we going to say, here we're dealing with two universes, or are we going to get absurd? And then we get even dumber. Because the other dude is like repairing something on the ship, and is leaning his hand against the wall. And as he's leaning, his hand just sucks into the wall. And the wall starts moving him around and jerking him around inside the wall. And he can't get out, and people come to help him. And they pull him out, and his arm is just severed, but he's not in pain, he's not bleeding. And he's like, huh, that's weird. He's like, oh, my arm's gone. And he was like so comical. I'm like, this has gotta be a comedy and I'm reading this wrong. The doctor at one point like looks at it and goes, it's almost as if you were born that way. Except it's like a clear cut. You see like meat and bone and stuff. And I'm like, if you were born that way, your bone wouldn't be sticking out of your arm. Like, that's not how people are born. And he doesn't have any pain and whatever. And then the other guy, the chick who shows up from the other ship, says that they can't trust the other guy. So there's another guy and they're like, oh, we can't trust him. And then there's documents that say that they deciphered, and apparently him was contacting his own country and making deals to not make the machine work until another country like all starved and died off. And he's like, that's not true. It might be true in her universe, but it's not true in ours. And so they lock him up, but then all of a sudden he gets out.
And how do other people know about different universes?
I don't know, because this chick, she actually has like recordings of the other chick and her kids, so like it's all checking out. She does know everything, so like, yeah, she is from another universe. So I'm like, okay, they've gone out of their way to establish that is a fact. She is from another universe. So okay, we had a fair swap across, but then somehow we're just having goofy shenanigans that are happening too, because this dude's arm is off, the other guy's locked in the brig, but then all of a sudden the brig opens up. That's never explained why it opens up. He gets out, calls them all over. Oh my gosh, Mom, dude's hand is crawling around the space station, his whole arm. His whole arm's crawling around the station.
I don't like crawling.
They had to go get it. It seems to be doing stuff. They put it in some sort of terrarium. And it's like, they're all watching it. And they're like, are you controlling it? He's like, it's not attached to me. And I'm like, chuckle moment. But is this funny, or are we supposed to be, are there real stakes involved here? Because his arms, and then his hands like starts like doing this. And they're like, it's trying to say something. Give it a pen. And they give his arm a pen. And the arm says to cut open the other dead guy who had worms come out of him. They cut him open. The gyroscope is in his stomach for some reason. None of this is explained at all. None of it's explained. I'm like, okay, did they cross over into a reality where severed limbs have consciousness and no knowledge that no one on the show knows? And so they cut him open.
What kind of drugs did the people that wrote this show take?
I don't know. And then really after all of those absurd things, then different things happen and weird things happen and people die in different ways. But then after that,
then the weird things happen?
Yeah, no, after that, they start taking like a hard line. Okay, we're just gonna act like we're only dealing with 2 dimensions now. All the weird stuff's gonna stop, and we're pretty much just gonna deal with 2 dimensions now. And so, they get the gyroscope out of the dude, pop back in the machine, find the sun, which apparently they didn't look for too hard, and then they see the Earth on the other side of it, and they go, oh, the Earth's over there. Let's go over there and get to the Earth. And they can't send any messages to Earth yet, but they can receive them, and they're receiving things saying that the space shuttle broke up, and that it's in the water. And I'm like, okay, now we're feeding back into them going, remember? Hey guys, remember this is a Cloverfield movie, right? Because in the first Cloverfield, at the end of the movie, you see that, like, his video from weeks previously, as part of his space station, fell into the water. And so the first movie you're thinking is like, oh, Godzilla, Creature from the Deep movie, and a space shuttle hit it when it landed and woke it up. Second movie, you're thinking, I'm like, I swear that went almost more into, like, aliens and government conspiracy. And this movie's going into, like, multiverse dimensional things is what the problem is. So, and they go, oh, that's not our Earth. We're in another dimension. That's the other dimension's Earth. And so she's alive on that planet with her kids, and she wants to go there because she's pretty sure that that version of hers also is going to steal power and get her kids killed. And she wants to, like, even if it's a different universe, save her kids. And the other chick's like, yeah, this is my, and she was this blonde chick. I seen her and stuff. Short hair, and she just looked like from Wreck-It Ralph, Jane Lynch's character. I was like, that's all I thought of. I was like, it's the live action character. And so they're gonna go do that, but then it starts really just strictly dealing with, like, these are 2 dimensions we're dealing with. Forget all this silliness that's happened before this. And then weird things happen. The space shuttle's almost completely destroyed, and then they have, like, to lose a part of it, and then the main captain dude, like, sacrifices himself very gravity-like of, like, I'm just gonna, like, let myself go to save you guys. And during the course of all this, they've discovered how to make the ultimate energy thing work. They've just figured that out, too. But the Asian chick who was the original engineer person dies, and so they're like, well, thank God we have an alternate universe engineer chick here, so she could do it. So their plan is to go get in transmitting range of the other Earth, and send her and the Hamilton chick to that Earth with schematics so that Earth can build its own shepherd. And then they're going to recreate the instance of them, because they're, like, positive. Like, it's never a question asked. Like, we're living in a reality where a guy's arm came off and is writing things down, but it's totally without question that if they do the machine again, they're just gonna go back home. 100%. They're gonna go home. And it works, what the plan is, they're gonna go
back there and there could be the Statue of Liberty sticking out of the sand.
with monkeys everywhere. Yeah. So they're like, we're gonna recreate the things, go back to our Earth, and then now that we know how to make the machine work, we'll just have the machine work. And they're getting ready to do that, but then blonde chick from that Earth starts shooting on them and killing them because she's like, our Earth doesn't have time to make a new shepherd, and if we do, like, we're gonna all die before we can even make one. We have a shepherd here right now, and she even does the, like, kill a few people's lives to save this many billion. I'll do that. And I'm like, very 12 monkeys of you. And they end up defeating her and whatever, and they jettison her. And so she sends they get close enough, and she sends a recording to herself of, like, telling her not, like, here's the schematics to make your own thing. Don't get your kids killed too, and tell them you love them and whatever. And then they pop back to their own Earth. Through the course of this whole movie, there's her husband. We've been cutting back to her husband. Her husband's a doctor, and one night there's an explosion, and he goes to the hospital, and the hospital's completely destroyed. And there's just one kid alive there, just standing in the middle of the rubble, fine but upset. He takes the kid to a bunker that's a friend of his bunker, so it starts being reminiscent of the second movie. All they know is that the space shuttle has just disappeared. Like, it's not crashed. They don't know what's wrong with it. It's just disappeared. By the end of it, like when they get back home and they've made the energy thing work, and they tell the Earth, they're like, we got it working. We had a weird experience. There's only 2 of us left, but we'll tell you about it when we get home. And then it cuts to her husband getting the word that his wife, that the ship's come back, and that they'll be landing soon. They're going to be splashing down in the water soon. And then he's like, no, you sent her back here? Tell her to go back. And they're like, we lost connection and we couldn't tell them, and they can't stay up there. They have to come back. And he's like, tell them to go back. You brought her here with these things. And then he's screaming, go back, into the phone. And then you see her little shuttle go, zoom, and it goes through the clouds. And then a big monster rears up. And I'm like, so you hit the monster in the back and alarmed him and he jumped. That's mean. Also, I don't remember the monsters being above the clouds that tall. But, yeah, it was, the last second was going, hey, remember that it's a Cloverfield movie? And it was like, so I'm like, okay, but that's what the weird thing is. I'm like, so was the first Cloverfield movie about that Earth? Because in the first Cloverfield movie, before all of this happened, space shuttle debris fell into the ocean, and then monsters happened. In this Earth's movie, space shuttle debris never fell, and monsters just showed up. And so I'm assuming that means our the first Cloverfield was actually the alternate reality's Earth, and so the space shuttle falling into the ocean and probably also opening that temporal thing and then destroying it, getting destroyed and falling in the ocean is what made so anyway, it was not good in any stretch. It was dumb, and it was like, no one cares what the husband's doing because he's not in space. That's boring. I don't there's so many more things. It was just odd. It was an odd movie, but yeah, you don't need to watch it.
I saw the preview with the hand. That's why I said I'm not.
Yeah, nah. It was just. If it had made up its mind to be a strictly 2-dimension thing, like dealing with 2 dimensions, it could have worked. If it wanted to go extreme and make, like, where no bounds of reality has any hold on them, and you could live in a world where a dude's arm is writing stuff to him, or that a guy has worms in his body, but so many things were not explained. Like, okay, so they made a jump. A gyro was in a dude's stomach, along with all the worms are in his body. But he's also talking to himself and possibly an outside source. And then prints a gun, and then he can't even kill the guy in time. Before he gets sick and dies and the worms explode out of him. And then, why did the wall grab that dude's arm? And why did the chick, only her, show up to, like, our universe's ship? But why did our universe's ship get flung to the other side of the sun? Like, so many things were so dumb. Like, and never explained. And not even, like, they were just so quickly brushed past, like, we don't need to explain that. Whatever, it's a Cloverfield movie, no one cares. It's a Netflix Cloverfield movie. Just spend all of our advertising money on them 2 billboards in West Hollywood and a Super Bowl commercial, and you got it. And also, like, why did the guy get thrown in the brig and then the door opens for him. Like, the door just opens. And then, also, his alternate reality version of him was colluding with his government to, like, wait until another country is killed, but he didn't.
I don't know.
It just...
It all probably means something.
I'm sure it probably means propaganda. It was just dumb. It was just dumb. So much of it was dumb.
Yeah.
You don't need to watch it now. I basically summed up the movie. And I saved you. Well, you don't even pay. I mean, you're still paying for Netflix, so that's where they get you.